my friends. It's time for some questions, and we got some good ones this time. So let's get into it. Rebecca Stearns, our friend Rebecca, says, I have 3 questions for you. You mentioned a while back in passing that Ram Dass was not his real name, and his seeming enlightened spiritual guise was part of a CIA op or something like that. Can you explain what you know about this? There are a couple of things that you're kind of conflating, I think, Rebecca. Ram Dass was the name Richard Alpert, I think, is what his original name was. And he and a bunch of other guys back then, at the beginning of the the New Age business, and particularly with psychedelic drugs. John Lilly was with him, and who's the best-known guy whose name escapes me at the moment. But they were all involved in one way or another with early on with CIA things. Now you got to remember, you got to keep something in mind here, that there was a time back in the 60s and the 70s when the CIA was considered to be far less kind of onerous than it is today. That the CIA, if you remember from its origins, it was designed specifically to be able to advise the president. And that was his principal objective. And then, obviously it expanded into all kinds of trying to bring down governments and other kinds of stuff. But there was a place back there, and when I first came to Washington, the CIA was, generally considered an honorable organization. I mean, you needed to generate intelligence and information in order to make decisions. And these guys, and I've known a good number of analysts, not many spies, and only after the fact, the espionage type guys. But the analysts were wonderful people. As a matter of fact, they'd do surveys in Washington and say, where's the best place to work in a government agency in Washington? And it was in the CIA. It was a wonderful, well-meaning, intelligent people who thought they were really doing a really good job. And an organization like that's a big organization, and so most of them had no idea at all what was going on in the spooky side of stuff. And so there were a variety of people back then that turned out to see the world differently in time, who cooperated with in one way or another. I think I may have mentioned Ram Dass in passing, but it also was Willis Harman, who used to run the Institute of Noetic Sciences. He did some projects for the agency when he was at SRI. And so anyway, it was a different time, and cooperating with the government was not considered the way it is quite now. Bruce says, thank you for all that you do. I have a neighbor who is an acclaimed astrophysicist and professor. I broached the subject of ETs and other paranormal activity like consciousness affecting matter. He is all about valid, reliable, generalizable evidence, and to his mind there is none to support ETs or other. I do believe that his scientific bias is also the way to open his mind. Hence, my question is, if you had one shot to present convincing scientific evidence to sway a skeptic about the power of consciousness or the ET question, what would that be? Of course, scientific methods involve subsequent substantiating studies, so unless a significant meta-study or one alone would not be completely convincing. Okay, the only thing I could say about that, about ETs, is that it has now become clear that the Department of Defense for decades has had a deep black program monitoring these anomalous events, these craft that cannot be explained. Number two, the Department of Defense has released an increasing numbers of gun camera footage from F-18s and other Navy airplanes who for years have been being confronted by these kinds of things, and you've got very real imagery of whatever they are. Don't know what they are. Number three, the United States, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence has carved out a subcommittee or whatever they call it, specifically to look at this because of the briefings that they've gotten, the classified and other briefings that they've received from people inside the government and other places who know about these things, and it is generated significant concern about what they have found. But if you don't know what you don't know. None of us know what we don't know, and if all you do is read the conventional literature, and you don't get outside. I mean, some of this stuff has been on the front page of the New York Times. I mean, I don't know what you're reading or not reading, or what you believe or not, but there are a lot of very convincing reasons to believe that there is other life, and that it is all around us, and that sometime in the near future there is going to be a merging of our interests and interactions, and it's going to be a really big deal. So those are great questions, and I really appreciate it. If you like these questions, and you've got some more, one thing that you can do is you can come to our next transition talk. I think it's the 15th, 16th, it's somewhere in the middle of March. And I'm the speaker, and I'm going to answer questions and carry on for all afternoon. And so it's not going to be a giant crowd either, and so you get a chance to have a lot of interaction, and it'll really be a fun time. So I hope you come. You can find out about that at transitiontalks.org. And I hope you can make it here or join us by the live stream, because we'll take the questions from live stream as well. But thank you. Thank you very much. We'll see you again.